Hey guys, what's up? It's Stacking Chairs, the youth ministry podcast all about serving youth ministry. Whether it be youth group or youth camp, whatever God has you serving in, that's what we're talking about. I'm one of your hosts, Josh Paul Hamus. I'm joined by my fellow host and very good friend,
Kyle Gray. Did you see I gave the little pause just like you did the pause?
I like when the music kind of like
I'm
hits
your friend.
at the same time.
Josh Paul Hamus.
You get that Mid-Atlantic accent.
Yeah, I
back.
think it was good. It was good. It was good.
And now coming around third base.
Hey, Josh, a lot of exciting things happening around here right now.
A lot of exciting things happening.
We're not going to give the normal plug of, hey, we're in camp, because like we do that every episode because we pretty much just record during camp. So, hey, if you hear noises, stuff happens. Good to know the ministry's going on.
You may hear a walkie-talkie. If you hear something really terrible happening, don't worry. It's already been solved.
Yeah. Because you're hearing it later. So it's
exactly. It's been months.
It's post-production. Hey, Josh, we have got an incredible guest here today.
Yeah.
This guy's name is Ander Chen. I met Ander a little over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
A little over 2 years ago.
About 2 years.
Ander works with a massive church network called Acts 2 Network.
Yeah.
And it's pretty incredible. I genuinely have no idea the uttermost reach that this ministry does, so I'm just going to let him take it away. So, Ander, hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you,
Good,
Kyle?
Good. It's good to have you here. Hey, Ander, can you tell us what is Acts 2? How'd you get involved in it?
Yeah. A little bit about yourself, too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'll start with the about myself piece first.
Yeah. And build up.
Okay, sure. So I am originally from Southern California.
Nice.
Grew up there, and that's why I am a huge LA sports fan. At least the teams that I cheer for. Those are the only ones that exist in LA. So the Lakers, the Dodgers, the other teams, we don't really talk about those.
You don't
the
like the
Raiders?
Rams?
We have a complicated relationship with football.
Oh.
Because, the Rams, they were in L.A., then they went back to St. Louis, and then they came back.
Yeah.
And the Chargers aren't really from L.A., they're from San Diego.
Oh.
So then they moved up.
Yeah.
And then, the Raiders,
Yeah.
they were in Oakland, went to L.A.,
Yeah.
went back to Oakland, then they left us too.
Yeah, they're in Vegas now, right?
Yeah, they're in Vegas.
Yeah.
And then you've got San Francisco. But the Bay Area teams, so I ended up going to college in the Bay Area.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that's kind of where I've lived probably more than half of my life now.
Okay.
Nice.
And because I'm a transplant to the Bay, I do not cheer for any of the Bay Area teams.
Oh, wow.
No Giants?
No.
No 49ers?
Giants are the enemies of the Dodgers.
Oh, that's understandable.
Yeah, and the 49ers, like I said, complicated relationship with football in California.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so I just don't cheer for the 49ers, even though everyone around me does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's me. I grew up going to church.
Okay.
Heard the gospel, heard the good news of Jesus, but never really paid much attention to it until I ended up in college. In college, I was not looking for a church. I just met people who were, going around trying to meet students, get to know them. And through that, I got plugged into my church, which is now called Acts 2 Network. And through that, they gave me an intellectual foundation for my faith. And so we have something called Course 101. It's something that we developed. It's kind of like the basic foundations of Christianity. So going through like ideas of what sin is and the actual understanding as a rejection of God and all those good things. And when I went through this course with one of our mentors, I was shocked because I had never understood it in this way, at least the gospel. So that threw me in a loop, of course. I claimed to be Christian. I grew up going to church, finally realized what sin is. It's not just like the bad stuff. It's an actual rejection of God's a relationship with God. And I was upset. You can either take it two ways. Either humble yourself and just say, hey, I actually didn't really know. Sorry about that. And repent.
Yeah.
Or you can take it the way I did, which is like, I'm out of here.
Get angry.
Yeah, I got mad because
wow.
I was like, wait, I'm not a Christian? Then why did I do all this stuff?
Yeah.
Why do I do everything that I do,
Yeah.
Why
I'm
hit the
giving up-
checklist then?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The checklist makes no sense. I didn't even agree to this checklist in the first place because I didn't make a decision.
Yeah.
So I was ready to leave church. I kind of decided, okay, this Sunday, it's my last Sunday. So I go to church totally intent on leaving. That day, the pastor preaches this sermon, and I don't know if you've ever had this experience where it feels like it's just you and him in the room.
Yep.
And you're like, who told this guy what's going on?
Yeah.
Who told this guy about my life?
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt. So funny story is now that I'm like one of the full-time, I guess, ministers in our church, that pastor who preached that message, he was like, "Whoa, that was one of the worst messages I've ever preached in my life."
No
that
way.
thing was like a train wreck. And if I go back to think about it, it kind of doesn't make any sense. That's true.
Yeah.
But the gospel was preached.
There you go.
So
there you go.
It got me, and then I basically decided, okay, I'm a horrible master of my life. I'm running from God, and I decided to make my decision to follow Jesus that day. And so, I got saved in college, and because I got saved in college, I stayed with my church, and after college, decided to continue to serve in the college ministry.
Yeah.
And from there on out, it's been a wild ride.
That's awesome.
From there,
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now you got some kids.
I've got 3 kids now.
Okay.
6th grade, 4th grade, 2 girls and a boy.
Oh man.
So he's 6 and he's in 1st grade.
Nice.
And like I was telling some people, he's a troll. And it's really different having a boy after 2 girls.
Yeah.
It's just totally different. Like, he's wild. He's energetic. He doesn't listen to anything.
Wow.
He's just like, I don't even know. It's very frustrating at times because I'm like, I'm not used to this, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
it is crazy.
And you married, where did you meet your wife?
at church as well.
At
so
church.
she is a year younger than I am, and she was in our college ministry just like I was.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really I wasn't interested until after I graduated.
Yeah.
And I was kind of living a single bachelor kind of life, just enjoying my life, hanging out with all the bros and stuff all the time, playing
Video games,
basketball,
football.
doing ministry, loved it. And one day, she's like collecting props for this huge production that we do every year for Thanksgiving. It's called Thanksgiving Celebration. It's got all these dances and songs. It's like family time together as a church.
Nice.
And
That's
she's
fun.
collecting props. And I don't know why, but after that, I could not get her out of my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of a spiritual person, believe it or not. I prayed for 3 months.
Oh, cool.
Because I didn't want it to just be simply infatuation.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, I wasn't even looking for this.
Yeah.
So I prayed about it for 3 months, continued to think about it and think about her. And so then I finally asked her out, and she said yes. And long story short, we got married, got married. Yeah.
That's very that's also common in Latin America. So when I met my wife, I remember someone saying like, "Oh, are you guys praying?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "Oh, you're praying," and I'm like, we're dating. They're like, well, you pray and then you date. It's like a courtship kind of thing. Like you pray together first. And it's I've prayed about it. I don't understand. Like it just wasn't, at least for me. Like it's just funny how that culture. But you did that right off the bat. So
I just did it off the bat.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just thought that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So you guys did college ministry for how many years?
Oh boy, we did college ministry for, I can't even do the math. It's from 2005 to 2022. So that's 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And in the course of us doing college ministry, we did go out to North Carolina to plant a church at the University of North Carolina in 2017.
Nice.
And then we were called back to our home base church, which is our Berkeley church, even though it's not. The college ministry is in Berkeley, but the headquarters are in a different city.
Nice.
We were called back to help with the Berkeley ministry in 2020.
Nice.
Okay. And then, I was there in college for a couple years. After that, I transitioned over to youth ministry. And so I am a rookie at youth ministry, which Word of Life, you guys are veterans because you guys have been doing it for ever.
Long time.
85 years.
Long time.
This year.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Well,
85 years.
So the original.
Josh, you look great.
I look great for 85, right?
Yeah.
No, Word of Life started off as an evangelistic ministry. So I guess we've been in the youth ministry side of that a little bit shorter.
I want to say 56 or 57 for some reason always stuck out to me, but still a long time.
But, even Jack Wartson, who started Word of Life, his goal was always to reach the youth of this generation. He'd always say it's the responsibility of this generation to reach the next generation, or to reach their generation. Sorry,
if you're
Lord Jesus
quote
Christ.
Jack, quote him right.
Yeah, don't get it wrong. Seriously, Jack passed. I never met him. He passed away in 1996.
Yeah.
So I was a year old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were 16.
Were we 16?
We were 16.
I was probably 14 then.
What are you talking about? Oh, because that's
You're
right.
2
You are
years
younger
older
than me.
than I am.
Yeah, I just found out that he is 41 years old.
42.
42.
I would have not
42.
guessed 42. I would have guessed like 34, 35.
34?
That's
Thank
what I
you.
said to him. That's
Thank
what
you.
I said.
That's very flattering.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not. Well, I'll be 30 next month. So, well, not when you're listening, guys. I'm sorry. I'll be 36 months
38
ago.
probably by the time that this podcast comes out. But all right, Ander, so here's the deal. I think you know this. That college age group so many times becomes the forgotten ministry area. Mm-hmm. I know I've said this before. We care for your faith when you're a child. We focus on your faith when you're a teenager. And we kind of forget about you until you have kids of your own. And then we're like, oh, please come back. Please come back. Because your kids need it, right?
Right.
What drew you to college ministry?
Could you also tie in, because I'm curious, the ministry of Acts 2, like what your guys' mission and vision is?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Tie into that if you don't mind.
He perfectly said it. You didn't pay attention.
I think
No, he didn't.
So our Acts 2 started as a collegiate-focused ministry. Mm-hmm. And like Kyle, you were just saying, it's true. No one focuses on college students.
Yeah.
And so our heart and our DNA is college students. Mm-hmm. So for me, I fell in love with college ministry simply because that's how I became a Christian.
Yeah.
And in college, it's a precious 4 years of your life where you have time and space, in addition to studies, for sure.
And debt.
Yeah, all of those other things. Yeah. But, life doesn't really hit you until you graduate college.
Yeah. Sure.
So those 4 years, you're thinking about subjects, you're learning different things, and you're also meeting a bunch of people. And we say it is the best time for you to figure out the most important questions of life.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what is your purpose? What is your meaning? Like, what are you really going to live for? And so we find that, or we've always felt that college ministry is very precious because it's a great time to get people who are thinking, thoughtful, if they're spiritually open and hungry, and to share with them the gospel, because from there, the trajectory of their life really can actually change.
Yeah.
Not to say that any other stage in life you can't really change a person's trajectory, but
sure.
We've just found that college is this untapped place where they're in that age where they can start making choices and decisions, independently, like make their faith really their own.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of like our heart that we have started and been doing college ministry all these years.
Well, they're also at a spot intellectually. I mean, you talked about the intellectual side of like understanding what is sin. And I did Child Evangelism Fellowship and love the ministry of CEF. But when I did the summer program, it was always, what is sin? And you're telling a 5-year-old what sin is. You're like, it's the bad things we do that separate us from God. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that perspective. But what you talked about is when you understood what sin was, that it was a choice to be separate from God.
Right.
And then building the choice for salvation and bringing all that theology together isn't really... that's the glory of sanctification, the beauty of it, I guess I should say, of like what I understand of my salvation as a 5-year-old when I proclaim Christ versus a 29-year-old when I'm leading my family and being involved in my church and in my community, that my idea of what salvation is drastically different.
Right.
But all during that, I was a follower of Jesus Christ. When they're in college, they're at an intellectual stage where they can actually formulate and build that foundation in a new way.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I just love that mindset because, like you said, we're kind of veterans in youth ministry, but to have a place where those who have a little, because a teenager is not going to necessarily always understand the depth of how to build intellectually, something like that. But you guys are hitting those guys right where they're at.
Yep.
So I'm sure that comes with challenges, and that I guess could take you to Kyle's question. I don't want to like superimpose my own, but
superimpose it.
I'm just curious, like, what does it look like? Because I mean, even today we talked about the breakout session I did for camp. I was like, man, I feel like I was talking over the heads of some of the teens a little bit. I was discouraged by that. I'm not good at bringing that down. But what are the challenges of talking at that level of deep theology? Do you find that there's some college students who aren't prepared for that, even though they claim to have been Christians for 10, 12, 14, 18 years?
100%. So we say, for example, that course that I took, a lot of people in our ministries take that course 101. And we say, even if you kind of have gone to church before, grew up Christian, we still encourage people to take it because now you had a maybe elementary, middle school, high school understanding of Christianity. Now that you're in college, why don't you level that up and get a collegiate understanding intellectually of what the components of Christianity are. Mm-hmm. And so we try to kind of explain that, help people understand it. And like I said, this is a good way for them to finally kind of take hold of their faith as their own.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they have choices now that they have control over and that they can make. And so I think that's been a really amazing thing to see people
Yeah.
kind of understand that. And then from there on, it does change their lives in terms of how they're going to live.
Yeah.
Why do you think so many churches struggle to, or I don't think there's a church out there, we are not going to minister to college students.
Sure.
But why do you think churches struggle to, or even when something has to fall, that ministry is the one that falls?
I think practically, college students have no money.
Okay.
Okay, so they're like youth.
Yeah.
Except they're not cute. They're like adults.
I don't know. I listen. The middle
You know?
schools are not cute either.
I
man.
guess,
They're-
yeah, okay. Maybe high school youth aren't as cute, but some of them are. But
Yeah.
like college students, they're not going to be able to,
Yeah.
really contribute financially
Right.
to a
Yeah.
ministry. That ministry is just going to just consume.
Right.
Sure.
And so I think that makes it an easy reason
Yeah.
to take it away. I think the other reason is the kind of the intellectual one.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, how do I even begin to talk to these people?
Yeah.
So we were based in Berkeley,
Mm-hmm.
and Berkeley is known as a very liberal place.
Hmm.
So for the many years, people would hear, you guys are doing collegiate ministry at Berkeley? People are getting saved?
Mm-hmm.
I thought only like pagans are at Berkeley, like hedonists and, right? Like people who want to like anarchists, that's those kind of people.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, they definitely exist. A lot of tree huggers out there too. But the reality is, because we are at an intellectual institution, we are able to kind of bring our own, intellect into the fray and kind of engage them. And I think that probably is challenging for a lot of people. It's kind of like, yeah, where do I begin? How do I start talking to college students? How do I work with college students?
Yeah.
And so I think that probably is why it kind of gets overlooked.
Yeah.
Could it also be, I mean, this is just my perspective too, is we have a lot of churches that kind of focus in on being so open to getting everybody in that maybe a lot of the adults are in a milk stage of their own intellectual relationship. So the spiritual, intellectual, all those things combined, relationship with God. And so when they look at the teenager, they go, well, yeah, it's easy to bring them up to where my level is. We just got to say, hey, which this was the big word that I wanted to use earlier, which is deistic moralism, which is such an easy thing, if you don't know deistic moralism, the idea is just that God exists. I do good things to make God happy. God doesn't really get involved in human life. He's kind of there. He made creation. You do good things. You make him happy.
Right.
And that is, I think, pervasive in church right now. And so a deistic moralist might say, well, I just need them I need to teach them to be kind to each other and to obey. And you can do that all the way through high school. And then you have a college student who's going, what about my worldview?
Right.
And you have a church of people who are going, just do good things. Like, what's the big deal? Just stop asking questions. And I think I see a lot of that. Thank goodness there's a reason we chose our church, not in our church, and that's why we're the way we are.
Right.
But I see that a lot in other churches.
Yeah. Super frustrating for the students who are like asking those questions.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we want to be able to provide answers.
Yeah, I love
because they are answers,
Yeah.
We've got so many Christian thinkers like Bill Craig, Josh McDowell, all of these guys who have wrestled with
How
these
about Cliff?
questions.
You ever seen the guy on
Cliff Connectley?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Love that guy,
Yeah.
man.
His stuff's such a good challenge.
He's so good.
Yeah. Hey, Stacking Chairs audience. Can we take a moment to just talk about how there's not enough hours in the day for everything on your plate? I know for me, things can get pretty hectic. Between crafting sermons, planning small groups, keeping parents updated, and maybe even setting up chairs, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. What if you could reclaim some of that time? Word of Life Youth Ministries wants to help by offering you a free youth group series that's designed to save you time and deepen your connection with your students. Each lesson is ready to go with detailed teaching notes, small group guides, and discussion starters. The Parent Connect feature keeps parents engaged without you lifting a finger. Also, don't forget about the Multiply app. It brings everything together, allowing you to track your students' spiritual journeys and reward their growth. Imagine having more time to attend your students' games, grab a coffee, or just be available when they need to talk to someone. This isn't just about saving time. It's about making a lasting impact for the kingdom. Visit the link in the show notes and download your free youth group series today. Your students and your future self will thank you.
So there's definitely some challenges.
Yes.
But what are the rewards? I mean, if there's one thing, I've been out there with you guys. I remember that one time that we got together with all those guys, or the bros, and we sat around and they all just kind of shared their testimony of how they got involved. And it was like, oh yeah, he poured into me. Well, hey, hold on. He poured into me, and then I got a chance to pour into you. Oh, yeah, that's crazy because he poured into me, who poured in, like, what are some of the joys that you have seen that you go, yes, there are rough days and rough times, but we are pushing through because we want to see that happen?
Yeah. So the rough days and times are many. I think there's many just other distractions in college, and because they have freedom to choose, they're just there's just so many things in college. Okay.
Yeah.
Like there's just parties, and then there's other ways you want to live your life. So there's definitely all of that. But the rewards, I think, aside from seeing someone go from death to life and make a decision, is when people make a solid decision to follow Jesus, it does really change their lives.
Yeah.
Like you can see that trajectory change right away, because, in a few years or a year or two, they're going to be working in the field, but then what are they going to do with their other time?
Yeah.
We see them join us in ministry. We see them start to love people and love God, and we see them kind of choose to live the way God has designed for them to live. And I think that is probably the most joyful thing, because I guess in college you get to really see people when they are, just the consequences of their decisions are very apparent.
Yeah.
Because in a way they're in that transition period where your parents aren't there to get you out of trouble. And so you're going to have to face the consequences of your decisions.
Oh, yeah.
You live like this,
Yeah.
You're going to end up in that pit of addiction or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so we actually see them, and then we see that change. And I think that's probably one of the most rewarding things is,
Yeah.
and that's why when you were with us, people are like, oh yeah, he poured into me, and I've poured into this guy. And so we have that spiritual lineage.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that just comes from the fact that we've just stayed together for all these years, kind of like the Word of Lifers.
Yeah.
But,
He knows the terms.
Yeah.
He does. I'm slowly making him one of us. So.
Is that the goal?
I don't know. Yeah. We'll see.
Whoa. Okay.
No.
I'm just kidding.
But
No,
kind
Josh,
of
you and I
like-
are going to Acts 2.
Is that what it is? We're responsible?
Yeah, Kyle keeps trying to come over to Acts 2, and I keep saying, I don't know if this is going to work, man.
He keeps on telling me, he says, I don't think you're going to like us. I'm going,
Yeah.
I think he's saying, I don't know if we're going to like you. So.
But yeah, I think that change in people. So we're able to say like, hey, man, I knew you as a college student, and I just could see that you were headed in a whole, your life was just out of control.
Yeah.
But because of Jesus,
Yeah.
thank God you are who you are today.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find that super rewarding.
Amen.
And then I think the other thing is strategically for the kingdom of God. So now our mantra or for our network used to be an Acts 2 church in every college town.
Wow.
But as our network has now grown beyond college, we do youth, like I'm in youth ministry. It's now launching lifelong kingdom workers.
Wow.
And I think like that actually still goes back to the original idea of that's why we do college ministry, because this is an untapped group of people who have intellectual understanding of their faith, who can be energized when properly energized and charged.
Yeah.
They can make an impact for God's kingdom.
It's like a Paul Timothy kind of approach where you send them to Ephesus and like having them continue the work.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. Like
I
we
love that so
prepare
much.
you while you're, you can understand everything.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to you because you're about to enter into that world.
Yeah.
So
What about? Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
Well, I was going to say, what about the challenge of the person who says, I need a program to make that happen? Because I sit in conversations with people I've discipled even where they're going like, well, I love that you're meeting with me, but like, I feel like if I go to this place, the program would help me better. Like I need to do a program. And they go to the program and they're like, well, they don't really like me there, or like I'm not really fitting in well. And it's like the answer that everyone says, even on the flip side still, is they're like, well, I'd love to do discipleship, but like I need a program for it. What's the challenge? Because you guys have built this amazing program, apparently, Acts 2, and have done this really awesome work. But what's the answer to the person who says, well, I'm in a podunk town and I can't have a program?
Yeah, that is a question we have wrestled with
Really?
to answer for a very long time.
Oh, I love that.
In
Good,
that-
hard questions.
Yeah, it's kind of like, what is your system of discipleship? What is the program that you
Yeah.
follow? And
We're Americans, man. Like, we love
yeah,
program.
I know.
We want a system.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm not very sure. We are still not sure.
Yeah.
Some people will come to our church and say, maybe it has to do with the fact that you guys are, Asian. You're Asian.
Wait, you're
cultural
Asian?
No
heritage.
way.
Hold up.
If you haven't been able to tell, if you're watching this,
If you're listening and you
yeah, if
didn't
you're
know.
listening, you didn't know. Yes, we are very Asian, and
Okay.
very diverse. And so people will say, "Oh man, it's because of your Asian culture that you guys have like this homogeneity with each other, And we're like, you don't understand Asian people, man. Asian people are not like that.
Yeah.
We are, in fact. We actually take the American dream and we take it to the fullest. Like nuclear family, like family is most important.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't matter if they look like you.
Yeah.
Okay, your resources go into you, me, and us, like our family. So if anything, we are more individualistic than
Sure.
most people.
Yeah.
So my
Interesting.
mom would say, "Don't give people car rides in high school." I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "'Cause it's extra gas money you're spending."
Whoa.
Right, so
Yeah,
that
that's
is
wild, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
people are like, it's your heritage. Is it your being Asian? And we're like, I don't think so. And so we have been wrestling with this as we've been trying to answer,
Yeah.
to other churches and our partners who
Yeah.
we know. They're like, how do you do it? And Kyle's like, I gotta spend 1 month with you guys,
Yeah.
to figure
I
out.
just wanna learn.
just like
Yeah.
how it is you guys do life,
Yeah.
because there's something about how you do life that is just so different.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I don't think you'll like it, because it's not like we have a system.
Yeah.
It's simply that we do. I think the biblical way to see it is we really do life on life discipleship.
Yeah.
Like
Like
when
the original church in Acts.
Exactly. That's why we're Acts
In
2.
Acts 2. What?
Yes, that's why it's Acts 2, day by day, right? They went to the temple day
my
by day.
point.
They broke bread and they were in each other's homes.
Yeah. They sold all their possessions and
And
they
exactly,
all got together. Like it's just
and that is
it's radical.
If you come to our church, in a way, it is like that. Like people are willing to sacrifice time, money, energy
Yeah.
in order to, so that we can stay together.
yeah.
So that we can be together. I say that we prioritize one thing above ministries and above expanding God's kingdom. It is keeping everyone together. It's like just
Yeah.
so. For example, like our church used to be collegiate focused.
Yeah.
How did we start a youth ministry? Okay,
Yeah.
we had kids. So we
Yeah.
had like a kids ministry.
Yeah.
And then they grew up, and so we had a youth ministry. Well, what about all the other ministries that we do? All those other ministries that were born out of elderly care ministry, it's because we want everyone to serve. We want kingdom workers.
Yeah.
But they aren't in the same capacity or season of life to be able
Yeah.
to do collegiate ministry.
Yeah.
They can't run around with college students, you
Yeah.
know? And so then we started new ministries so that we could just simply continue to do life together.
You know what's so funny though? It's like Acts 2 then isn't some crazy program. It's just what church was intended to, like what the church body was intended to be, right?
And Josh, and let
Right.
me take it to the next level, because the one thing that he has not addressed is the time ratio or the time idea with it.
Yeah.
Now here's the deal. What they're talking about with life on life discipleship absolutely we can make this work because we're pastors that are full-time pastors at the
Sure.
church.
Yep.
That's only our focus. Nope. Acts 2. Most of the people that work for Acts 2, bivocational.
Bivocational.
Yeah.
And not just bivocational, like Salesforce,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
like
Google, Amazon.
like smart, like you are
Yeah, yeah,
running, and so again, it's the idea of we're not going to make the excuse we don't have time. We all have the same 24 hours. We're just going to make that time.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
that's why I'm sitting there going, I need
That's
to
like-
go there for like a
but
month,
that's-
and
it's like I feel the same thing that you do, Kyle, which is like I'm like, how do I be the answer? So I lead a home group at my church.
breathe. Think
I
of
know.
one time.
I lead a home group at my church, and the point is we said this once. I said, what's the thing that we need to do as a church where we can maybe we should all sell our stuff? And I was like, I was being over tongue in cheek. I was like, maybe we should sell everything and all move to North Carolina, and we'll buy a compound and we'll all live there together, and we'll find a community of people who need the word of the Lord. And I'm like, oh wait, we live in a community. We already have houses and and jobs and things like that. Like, we have all the tools we need right here.
Absolutely.
And so that was one of the conversations we had in our home group. I think what I love about what you're talking about is like, I think all of what you're talking about in my home church,
Right.
It's infectious. And I think that encouragement is I'm going to go back and I'm going to continue to try and spread that infectiousness of just like the desire to reach the community.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful I have that in my church. I hope other people hear this and they go, I want that too. And not to think, oh, I need to go be a part of a program or I need to go find some ministry that I can like go and be. You can do it right where you're at with the people
you could
of
do
God.
it. So like we all have 24 hours, right? So how are they, or, you know, because I used to also have a full-time job
Sure.
before I went into full-time ministry.
Yeah.
But I also did both. I had my regular job as a project manager for software companies, and then I did ministry afterwards.
Yeah.
And most of our church members consider their real job ministry. And so there's that part where biblically you're a kingdom worker, man. If you welcome, right? Like we say, you know, Jesus called us to follow him.
Yep.
And he called you into ministry.
Yep.
Every person.
Yeah.
So we take that really, really seriously. And then we provide avenues for people to be able to serve and to do that. And the way we're able to actually do ministry is because of this idea that we do life together. So people will watch my kids so that I can be free to go. Like I'm here right now speaking here, and where are my 3 children? You know?
I was curious about that.
Yeah, like, you know, most people probably have to bring them in tow and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a barrier, given the age of your kids. But for us, it's like we take care of each other's kids.
Yeah.
You know,
So they're back home.
They're back home.
Yeah, he has
They're with their
a
friends,
a machine that every once in a while dispenses
Just like dispenses food.
Yeah. It's
You
like a
ask
vending
nicely.
machine, but they don't have to pay.
Yeah. If you do your homework, it dispenses some candy or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Yeah. And I think because we're such a close community,
Yeah.
we do everything together. And that,
Yeah.
I think, gives us the strength to be able to do
Yeah.
and handle like life, like the way it was meant to be handled, which is in a community.
Well, and it gives us a picture that there is no reason. I mean, you can come up with all the excuses.
Yeah.
But let's there's excuses and there's reasons. There are not excuses to not do this. All there are excuses not to do this. We all can do it. Because here's the deal. Maybe you're sitting there going, man, my church has one college kid. Great. Pour into that one college kid.
right. Pour into him.
And probably, and this is one thing that I've learned from you guys, which is not new with you guys, but it's you typically, okay, we're going to get to the end of this process. We're not going to stop meeting, but now you're going to start meeting with somebody else. Mm-hmm. And you see that multiplication, happen all the way across the board. And it's incredible. I'm telling you right now, listen, I hope you guys hear the passion in our voices and in Ander's voice, and the idea of it can be done. You can pour into people.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you could not start. And it doesn't even have to be a college kid. Maybe there's another mom. Maybe your mom listening to this and you go, man, I've got this younger mom that's trying to figure it out. She doesn't have to do life the way that you do life, but you can give her some great encouragement and challenging. Hey, maybe you're a college kid and you know another college kid, or maybe you're a youth pastor, or maybe you're a youth person. I know we got a bunch of teenagers and students that listen to this. There are other students that are in your ministry that you can pour into. You don't have to wait until you graduate or until you get into college to start to do discipleship and pour into people. Hey, Ander,
it's funny, even Gideon, I was just sorry to interrupt. I know you were kind of wrapping up, but
it's okay.
Gideon, who wrote into the show a year ago, is now a Bible Institute student this year and is working and helping us with youth group at my church.
Awesome.
Gideon was the kid that was trying to climb on the stool today.
That sounds like Gideon.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Gideon, like, that's, I don't know. I just love, like, if you're like that, where you're like, you're listening to this podcast, like, I want to do youth ministry. Like, there's no wall in the way. There's no thing in the way for you to go and do that.
They will gladly let you in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wherever you need to go is like right in front of you. And so like, I don't know. What Gideon's doing is kind of an example of that. And I love that he's been.
So here's my question. And we don't have to land the plane with this one, although we probably are reaching to a point.
I don't want to, I could go for another hour.
Now that you are in,
feeling that energy now.
Now that you are in youth ministry.
Yeah.
But you still have a heart for college ministry.
Absolutely. Yes.
What are things that you are choosing to do or doing with your high school kids to both prepare them for college? Mm-hmm. What are you doing to prepare them for collegiate ministry? What are you doing to prepare them to jump into college? Because let's be honest, most of our kids, when they go to college, they leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go away.
Yeah.
And so we got to be hands off. We got to let them fly and let them go.
Yeah.
What are you doing to prepare them to do that, and also to prepare them to go, okay, wherever I go, I'm going to find my new Paul, or I'm going to find somebody to pour into me, but I'm also going to find a Timothy to pour into.
So I think that's a great question.
Thank you.
But I have transitioned from college into youth. And so a lot of the things that we did in college ministry, my wife and I, we find us now doing in our youth ministry.
That's fine. So what are those things?
So definitely like life on life discipleship. But of course, I guess we do have a systematized weekly discipleship that you could say.
Yeah.
And rather than it used to be everyone needs to be in this, and then if you weren't in it, I'd be like, hey, come on, and kind of twist your arm. These days in our culture, it's more opt-in.
Yeah.
People have to choose and they want it, so
Yeah.
we offer that even amongst the youth, right? I don't know if that's like the norm for us. It was always like everyone must do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kind of like we're all in this together.
Wow.
Which was kind of like that. So your most like, I don't know, your most pagan friend. If he said he was a Christian, you were like, we're doing this together.
Yeah.
So that kind of has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But we, still do like weekly discipleship with our youth. I think just the teaching times are probably what we try to leverage a lot. Where we're trying to give them a lot of apologetics. So early on, we just make sure like we answer those very foundational, fundamental questions.
Sure.
How do I know God exists? What's the if the God is so good, why is there suffering in this world?
Yeah.
All like how are science and faith compatible?
Yeah.
So we're just bringing that down now for the youth so that they have that intellectual foundation, so that later on they may come back to that.
Yeah.
As well as just trying to teach them those things, expose them to many experiences. Very similar to kind of what you guys do.
Yeah.
Just get them to fall in love with ministry, give them opportunities to do ministry. So because we're intergenerational in our church, we try to get our high schools to love the middle schoolers or to love the younger ones.
Yeah.
We found that to be very, very powerful and very effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
That's
love
cool.
that. I love that. Well, and again, I think if you're not intentional, and if you just hope that this happens, it's not going to happen.
It is not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Come on, when has anything ever happened when
Bad
we
stuff.
intended?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, I guess it feels a little off topic then, I guess. So if you had something on topic.
Nope.
Okay.
Keep going.
Well, so how do you deal then with, something I hear a lot about now is excellence culture. That whole idea that everything needs to be done to this level, and there's always like this, like, you need to accomplish this. And it sounds like you guys don't really operate off of that, like, excellence culture mentality. It sounds like more like you do things excellently because you're a part of it already. Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yeah. No, so while you're saying, so we do things because we're part of a culture that has excellence in it already?
Maybe so, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I would agree with that. So the question you're asking is,
I guess, like, how do you kind of, what's your thoughts on the excellence culture not in comparison, but how it lines up with what you guys are doing already?
Yeah.
Like, is it part of what you are doing? Like, you have this whole, you sit down, you say, okay, this is excellent, this isn't excellent, and you have like this parameter that you have to reach? Or is it more of like, no, everybody come in and just do your best, as long as you're preaching the word of God, we're content?
yeah. So totally get the tension between like excellence and then making it about excellence and not really making it about like the work that we're doing, sharing the gospel and doing that. I think we definitely struggle with that as a network.
Sure.
We definitely try to do everything we can to our best of abilities.
Yeah.
Of course.
And we want our best preachers, and we want to execute properly, and logistics are something that if it's inefficient, we want to make it more efficient.
Yeah.
But then sometimes we're very inefficient because we want everyone there. We don't want anyone to miss out.
Yeah.
Right. And so then that's not efficient. So then there's that tension we're constantly balancing.
Yeah.
And I think, it's, man, if I had an answer to that, if there was a silver bullet for that, we call these things like values and tension.
Okay.
In our church.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like, we want to do everything excellent to the glory of God.
Yeah, amen.
Right? Like that, who doesn't want to?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want to get stuck in that
Yeah.
and then lose sight of like, whoa, we got to do outreach. We got to do more ministries. There's other places to go, people to meet. And so how to balance that, I think we're still trying to figure out a balance.
Okay.
So there are times where, it's kind of like the Proverbs, it's kind of like, okay, this is good enough.
Yeah.
This is not good enough. And you're like, which is it? And so the wisdom and discernment.
Okay.
I think that is where having a lot of older, wiser people is very
Yeah.
helpful
Yeah.
to guide
Yeah.
us in that process to say, I think you guys, it's okay. We can move on and
Yeah.
try another strategy now. So I think that's kind of how we balance it. But
Okay.
it is still a struggle from time
Yeah,
to time.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just incredible. I again, the fact that you guys have been going on for how many years now?
Oh man, let's say 40
40
some
years.
years.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
40 some years. A lot of the people that have been impacted by the ministry, not everybody, but a lot of the people that have been impacted with the ministry end up getting involved in the ministry. But again, it's not their full-time job. They just understand like life is ministry. Ministry is life.
That's
and,
right.
And being a part of, and then just the willingness that I've noticed with so many of the people on the team and on the side. Oh, we need to go over here. Like literally, hey, these 7 people, we really feel like God wants us to move to Boston, and we're going to start a ministry up there. Okay, great. We'll all go. Wait, you need to pray about it? No. Are you guys our leaders? You prayed about it? We'll go. Like it's
Yeah.
just this idea of networking and coming together and trusting and moving. You guys are in how many states now?
You know, I really should know this information off the top of my head.
You guys are in many states.
We are in many states.
Multiples of the
Oh
50. I was
boy,
gonna say 49.
I don't even want to try to give the stats without them in front of me
so
because I'm going to slaughter it.
How could they find out if you guys are in their collegiate town?
Acts2.network.
Okay.
That is our website.
I like
X2.network.
Yeah,
Love it.
Acts2.network. If you go there, you'll see where we are, where
Okay.
our churches are,
Yeah.
which colleges we're at.
Okay.
And so that's where you can find out more about. Also, it does a great explanation of what a bivocational minister is, because
Yeah.
we get that question a lot. How do you guys do both? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
ministry and your full-time job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talk about that, and then that's how you can kind of know where we are, what
Yeah.
we do, and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
How could somebody possibly get involved if they're like, man, this type of ministry and what you're talking about just really, I'm energized hearing about
Yeah.
this. I
Yeah.
want to ask questions about how to get involved. You know, do that Kyle thing that he said, come and live with you guys for a month.
Yeah, you can. Well, if you look us up and we're in your town, you know, and you're in your city, then
Yeah.
that's a perfect way to come show up.
Yeah.
Just drop the name Ander Chen, and
Sure.
everybody will.
Sure. Yes. Yeah, in a way, the leadership. I mean, I'm part of leadership, so in a
Yeah.
way, they'll know who I am. I'm
Yeah.
one of the older ones, believe it or not, at our church.
Okay.
We're kind of a young church.
Gotcha.
You know, so 42 is old.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For us, you know. And so, like, if you just want to find out more about us, just come.
Yeah.
Usually, if it's not one of our bigger churches like Davis and Berkeley, we're probably just going to have a collegiate ministry.
Okay.
More so. So it's college service that you're going to be walking
Yeah.
into. So if you're in Boston or you're in Fairfax, Virginia,
Yeah.
or you're in Minnesota, Minneapolis, you know, that's where like
Yeah.
some of our churches are. It's going to be a college service that you're going to walk into.
Yeah.
So just know that. But if you want to find out more, just find one of the leaders there and say, tell me about your church. I heard about it.
And how
do I
quickly
get
are you
involved?
guys coming to Florida?
Man, that is one that I am going to just punt to the Lord. Yeah.
I've been asking Ander and Myra all weekend long. Hey, how do we get you guys out here? How do we get you guys out here? Because again, I mean, we've got a bunch of colleges that are out here.
Sure.
And there are some great Baptist networks. There's some great other church networks that are out there. I love the way that Acts 2 creates a family atmosphere, like
Yeah.
they're saying, and they just kind of pour into one another.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Hey, thanks so much for being here
Yeah,
with
thanks
us
for taking
today.
time.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
If you could give just an encouraging plug to those ministers that are in the thick of it, and just to keep on keeping on, man, what would you say to them just to do that?
I think one thing that's been on my heart lately is just to be faithful.
Yeah.
Just to be faithful, you know,
Yeah.
as that song goes, trust and obey, because there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. And I think if you just do that, you just continue what you're doing.
Yeah.
I know some days are hard. Some days are easier, but ministry is what we're called to do.
Yeah.
Jesus said, hey, follow me. He never said he would be an easy life,
Yeah.
but he did say it would be the most rewarding.
Amen.
And if you trust and obey, you've got that crown of righteousness waiting for you in heaven one day. So what could be better than that, right?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Hey, Ander is our speaker for this weekend at Pursuit Camp. And if you don't know anything about Pursuit Camp, you can find out information about that at camps.wol.org. But our brand new, he also works at and helps us at our
Yes.
brand new location. Well, last year is brand new, but
Yeah.
at out in Cold
Still
Springs,
new.
California.
When this comes out, it'll have been going for 4 years.
And listen, I'm excited to tell you I can say for the very first time on the podcast, we are doing 3 weekends next year
Are you?
out at California.
Nice.
Yeah, and
That's
so
right,
if you
yeah.
guys are listening, we are going to start to recruit workers from the outside to come and be a part of that ministry.
Yeah.
For that third weekend, Acts 2 has done a phenomenal job at really helping us to shoulder the load, but with adding more, they are saying, hey, can we get some help from the outside? So listen, if you are a college ministry person or somebody that says, hey, listen, I'd love to get involved in that and be on the helping side, Intersect Camp is a great opportunity to do that. And next year, Josh, we're going to be in Michigan, Ohio, New Hampshire, and California.
Yeah. Praise the Lord.
Pretty crazy.
It's gonna be
That
awesome.
is incredible.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is. It is. It's absolutely insane. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ander, for being here. Guys, as always, this has been Stacking Chairs. Check us out at stackingchairspod@wol.org. Shoot us an email. Give us some thoughts. Check us out on social media as well. Stacking Chairs Pod everywhere that you can find social media that we're also on, because I don't remember the entire list. Kyle, any final thoughts?
Josh, I saw some of these types of chairs at IKEA the other day,
Did
and
you
I almost
buy more?
bought you some more.
I want 40 chairs there.
But
by
I
the
did. Hey,
end.
ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to donate to the chair, no. Hey guys, listen. We have a lot of fun. I hope you're still having fun in ministry because there is so much to do and so much to be a part of. But Josh, there's one thing they absolutely need to make sure that they do.
What's that?
Stack those chairs!